All right, and welcome back to another episode of Shootin the Shizz with DK and the Schwag, my buddy Brett Wagner. And tonight we welcome the talented actor who's been in pretty much anything and everything. If you're a fan of TV or movies, you've seen him in something or another. There's no way to miss him. Michael Bailey Smith, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's definitely an honor. Thanks for inviting me. I've watched your show before. It's really cool. And man, me and Brett go back a long ways. I mean, we've competed, if you want to call that as an actors, sitting in the same, casting office, sweating bullets, going in and reading. And then I would read or he would read. We'd come out together and then go, how'd you do? I did okay. How'd you do? I did okay. We'll see what happens. All right, good luck. And then one of us would get the role. That's how it happens. And so, but it's so
I forgot about that. That when you, as an actor back in the day when we used to audition in person and there'd be 10, 20 guys there and you see the same guys over and over again. But it is like that. Guys like me and Michael and some of our other guys that we would go up against that were friends, we'd always go like, how'd you do? How'd you do? Or you go, hey, listen, if I came out and Michael was behind me, I'd say, hey, don't do this. I just did it.
I agree.
I screwed up. They told me, don't yell, so.
It's funny, I've been fortunate enough to, I've got a few people started in the business, either through friends of mine or colleagues or something like that, because I'm in the tech world now. And their kids want to get into acting. And so I've given them tips and tricks on what to do. First thing I tell them, you need to find a job, you need to have a car, you need a place to stay. Those are three things. Once you get a base of operation and you got some income coming in, then you're not going into auditions desperate for the job, right? And which is great. You can support yourself and you can dress for success. And I was told that way at the beginning. I don't care how broke you are, you got to look like you're not broke and act like you're not broke when you walk into that room, because casting directors and producers, thousands upon thousands of dollars are riding on you every second you step on that stage or in front of that camera. And if they want you to feel confident and they want you to be the best damn actor possible, walk in there freaking, and owning it. And so I tell them, and then from there I tell them, find a great acting coach. And I always give them some tips on that, and you network your ass off and you go from there. And that's what I did. And Brett probably did the same exact thing that I did, right? You network your ass off, get an acting class. When I first started, I got really lucky, landed Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 5, Super Freddy. But after I did that role, I was in San Diego. I moved up to Los Angeles, slept in my car for a couple weeks, got a crappy apartment with some weird dude, slept on the floor in the back room. I did all that stuff, and just trying to make it. And I just remember, studying my ass off and getting in acting classes and networking and find out who's your manager and who's your agent, going to showcases and doing all that stuff and doing the craziest things to make money. My manager.
What were some of your jobs? I mean, that's a lot of people don't I was throwing people out of bars, right? I was doing security. I was working for bands, and I had, I'd had to be at work at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, work till 2 or 3 in the morning. But then I had my days free to go audition if I got auditions,
Yeah. Well, I was very blessed in the fact that I did that in college. I did a lot of bouncing, been stabbed and guns in my face and shot at and all that craziness. And my mom or dad are probably listening right now. Bless, they're going, what? But I did, back in Detroit. So, but my thing is, my degree is in computer science. So I put that degree to work. And so instead of waiting tables or bouncing at a bar or something like that, I worked at a test laboratory for consumer products. And so I worked as a contractor. So I could go and come in when I as I please, as long as I got my work done. And I would go off and do auditions and come back and do whatever. But I got paid fairly decent, and it was a steady gig. And I remember on, audition during the week, I'd come in on Saturdays and Sundays and I'd sleep on the couch at the office and put in 18 hours, test all day, test on consumer products, get up, work some more, test some more. And that's what I would do. And that's how I make my money. And then at nighttime, I took probably 4 to 5 classes a week, every night studying. I did scene study, cold reading, audition technique, improv, anything possible. I even did, this is crazy, and Brett, you might laugh at me for this because he and I were good friends. Listen, I was afraid to get up in front and talk to anybody. I'm in college. I had public speaking and I sucked at it. I was like, just crazy. So I said, how can I get over this? You know what I'm going to do? Remember, this is early 1990s. And what was popular in 1990s? Dating game shows. And guess what I was on? About 3 or 4 dating game shows. Talk about being crazy. And one of them was younger guys for older women. And the older women was like this casting director who I just read for like a couple weeks beforehand. I ended up winning the show. And she's like, at the end, she goes, we're not going to go out.
Wasn't that show called Cougars or something like that?
Kind of
I think I might have seen that game show before. Back in the day.
To get VHSs when they used to have those back in the day, loaded with just women. Contestant number 4, Michael Bailey Smith. I saw you. I think you're the hottest thing since, whatever. Please call me. My number, out of New York. I got like 5 billion different women calling me. I never, of course, called them, but anyway, I just thought it was.
Well, that's still flattering, though. It's got to be kind of nice, I think went on TV and they didn't say who's this fool.
But the goal, the point is, you do what you got to do if you want to be successful to make it happen, right? And so that's what you did. Brett probably knows this too. I had an agent way back in the day, some small potatoes agent, and guess what I did when you had to go and deliver submissions before there was the internet, right? I hopped in my car. I got to my agent at 6 o'clock in the morning. I had to go to work at 9. So for like basically 3 hours, I hustled my butt around Hollywood, North Hollywood, Redondo Beach, everywhere, dropping submissions off, packages, for my agency. I did all that stuff. I hustled man. You got to do what you got to do, right?
You got to be 110%. Like if you don't give 110% to the business, it's not worth it to half-ass it because, sometimes people get lucky, right? Some people they're born into the entertainment family. Their mom's uncle is a casting director. Very rarely do you get to be lucky to be like me and Michael, where we have over 100 roles over 30 years of acting.
Yep.
It shows that we stuck the course. But as Mike said, and I went on to I just did a movie called Desert Fiends up in Vegas, and there was a lot of new actors. Most of them have jobs, and I told them tonight to come in and listen to Mike and his story, because you got to have a job. You have to have a backup plan, whether or not you consider it a backup plan. There's got to be something there, because you have to give 110% to this craft, to the business. I studied. I remember my first. I went to John Robert Powers acting school. Right, it was a modeling acting school.
Wow.
Yeah, at the Sherman Oaks Galleria, right? And I didn't. But it got me a commercial agent, which was my first deal. Got me a commercial agent, and then I went to my first Hollywood acting class, which was totally 110%, 100% different. And you learn pretty quickly that there's people in it to win it. And when you're in an acting class and there's 50, 60 people in there, you can get lost in the shuffle. You can be intimidated, but you got to stay the course. You have to study. Improv for me was one of the greatest things I ever did, because you go in for an audition and they say, Michael, I like what you did, but now do it this way. And if you can't change on a dime, they may not even, it may have nothing to do with the scene, but they want to see that you can change and do something different. So when they bring you in for that callback, you're not going to embarrass them.
Well, also too, I was into bodybuilding back in the day, and I was a pretty big dude. I'm 6'4". I weighed like 285, 290 pounds. About 9% body fat.
You were big.
I was a big dude. If I could find a picture for you, hold on, I'll show it to you. But the thing is, I was working out at Gold's Gym, and let me just find this for you real quick. I gotta find it. This is me when I used to compete in bodybuilding. If I can see that. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's kind of.
Okay, it's starting to come in. Yeah, you're a big dude. You're still a big dude.
Yeah, so
you were a monster back when you were bodybuilding.
Yeah,
I've seen some of those pictures.
but the thing is, I started, I train at Gold's Gym in Venice, and all these bodybuilders are there, right? And they're all like trying to get into business, but none of them were taking acting classes. No one was taking it serious. They just thought because they were big, they could show up and just get the job. And sometimes they could. But the people like Brett and I who went in, took it seriously because it's really a job. It's no joke. It's a job. Yes, trust me. Get on the set. It's fun. It's great. You get to work with some great people. I got to work with Charlton Heston and Warren Beatty and all these great, fantastic people. Like, holy crap, these people I grew up watching. But still, it's a job, and it's serious business, and you got to take it that way. And you see some of these big, lugheads come in there and think, oh, I just rah my way through it, and you can't. That's not what happens. So.
You don't stay the course, right? They don't last. They're not going to last 30 years. They're not going to make their pension and health. They may have a couple of years where, like I said, you can get lucky. You could be, you see a ton of guys who, they even had TV shows, right? Let's say they had TV shows, some kind of deal. And then, which was funny is that then 20 years later, a role I may go in for, which is a co-star or a small guest star, where maybe I have 5 or 6 lines, and I see this guy who used to have his own TV show, and I'm like, "What are you coming in for my gig for? What's going on?"
Well, that is so full circle, because I remember when I first started acting, I remember going to audition and I saw this guy. I started in the early '90s, and I would see a guy who was a series regular in the '80s. I'm like, "Holy crap!" I said, if he's in a room with me, I mean, what's going on? Of course, he had a different role, but still he was reading for he was reading. And then now we flash forward to 30 years later, and I'm now in a room with some young guy, and he's probably saying the same thing about me, right? That, wow, look, that guy's been in everything, and why is he reading? So it's a little crazy.
The evolution.
Yeah.
The circle. Now the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like everything just aligned perfect for you to get to where you wanted it, especially starting. I know you were a pro football player, but were you acting before?
Nope.
After pro football, you decided to get into acting, or you had some experience you like to do the theater?
Nope, not whatsoever. My career, or how I got to Hollywood, has been kind of all over the place. But gosh, I like taking calculated chances. I do. I just don't, I just not going to jump off the cliff without a parachute, but I'll jump off the cliff with the parachute. Right. So there's some safeguards there. So, I finished high school in the Middle East in Iran. So, way back then when we used to get along with the Iranians, or at least that government, I graduated high school there, wanted to play college football. So logically I said, so how can I'm the oldest of 6 kids. My parents can afford to send me to college. No one's going to scout me to play college football, right? Not in Iran. So I said, well, I'm going to join the military. So I joined the military. My dad, who was a 30-year, Air Force veteran, he suggested that, and he said, you can get the GI Bill. So I wanted to do something that was hardcore. So I became a paratrooper in the 82nd Airborne Division. So I did that for 3 years. My goal was to get out, and I did. I walked on at Eastern Michigan. I had a chance to go to Notre Dame, but I chose a smaller school because I knew, still Division I, but I knew I could play right off the bat, which I did. I started, 4 years, and, became preseason All-American, all this other stuff. Hurt my knee, got to camp with the Dallas Cowboys, blew my knee out in camp again. And then, that was it. Finished my degree in computer science, found my way to San Diego in California. I chased some girl out that way that lasted about a month, but it was a blessing because I befriended a guy named Steve Henneberry, who became an American Gladiator later on. Great guy.
Which Gladiator was it? Do you remember?
Tower.
Okay,
yeah, Tower, big dude. Yeah. So I actually auditioned for
like
American Gladiators. I actually auditioned for him, but I didn't.
Oh, did you?
I didn't get it. So, but yeah,
I figured it would have been perfect for you to be an American Gladiator with your athletics.
But I had a bad kney. I couldn't do a lot of things I can't do. So
it's rough.
Yeah, and so then he and I buddied around a bit at the beginning, and I went with him to this audition for Nightmare on Elm Street Part 5, and we both went, and I end up getting it, and and so I remember remember that first day I'm on the set and I'm getting fitted, I met with the prosthetics people and sat in a trailer with Robert Englund, and we're talking about Freddy Krueger. I'm like, dude, this is the guy that when I was in the military, I used to watch freaking Nightmare on Elm Street 5, the first one. And I was like, holy shit, this is great. And the next thing you know, this is a very rare story to say or talk about. But this is a great learning lesson here. A lot of actors will stay in their trailers and do whatever, right? And then come out only for the scenes. No, you need to be on the set. Don't get in the way. Just be on the set and learn what lighting does, what grips do, electric, all those people, what everybody does. Learn all that stuff, because that's going to pay off from you when you're on the set and you're in front of a camera. You know what everybody else is doing. That helps. Second thing is, I was on the set ready to they're going to put me in prosthetics. I'm sitting there waiting around, and I saw the casting director and the director looked at me, and then they'd go back and talking, looked at me again, and they come over and said, "Hey, Michael, we have a question for you." I said, "Okay. What do you think about doing a love scene?" I go, "As Super Freddy?" And they go, "No." At the beginning of the movie's called Dream Child, and the lead actress has to get pregnant, and so they need someone to body double the lead. Do you want to do that? I'm like, and you're paying me for this? Help, sign me up. That's what happened. So that's what. Next thing you know, after I finished Super Freddy, I was laying in the bed with some hot chick with a loincloth on, and she, we were.
Well, wasn't it Beatrice, right?
Like, man, I gotta love Hollywood, right? So,
actually, Beatrice was a love scene. Hers was a rape
scene.
Hers
was
no,
hers was the R.
Hers wasn't very loving.
No, this love scene was very technical. There was nothing romantic about it at all. Period.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? First time, never acted in his life, right? Yep. Never acted in his life, and now he's on a movie set. He's playing Super Freddy with and now he's got to do a love scene. Now I've done the other kind of scenes where we're real physical, playing a skinhead or something, and doing some bad stuff. But I've never done a love scene. I can't imagine on my first day on a movie, first movie ever. Not only is it a giant franchise with a huge star, but now they want you to get naked in bed with somebody and do something. So
that's where it helps out. That's where doing everything and giving everything a try. The dating shows gave him the confidence to pull that scene off. If he didn't do those dating shows,
and plus probably some of my experience back in college too with some of the women, that probably helped out a little bit too.
I can only imagine.
But the whole point there was, folks, is that if you do get the opportunity, and I've told people before, don't sit in your trailer, because the first AD or the second AD you may tell them, hey, I'm going to go over here, I'm going to eat, I'm going to be in my trailer, that's where I'll be, because they want to know where you are. But you also can take the chance and say, hey, listen, do you mind if I sit over there in the corner and watch? Or you can just tell them where you're going to be. I'm going to be over there watching. And if they say no problem, then I did a movie coming out called Fool's Paradise, which is finally coming out with John Malkovich. Mm-hmm. And I get to play John Malkovich's limo driver and bodyguard. When I wasn't in the scenes, I would sit over on the side of the thing, because I'm a huge John Malkovich fan. And he's such a good actor that I wanted to watch him and Charlie Day do their scenes, because there's something out of it I could take out of it. And I'm learning something, and I'm watching. Mm-hmm. So good advice, Mr. Bailey Smith there.
And it paid off for another movie called Town and Country. This is one of those big ensemble type films that had Warren Beatty, Goldie Hawn, Diane Keaton, Charlton Heston, Andy McDowell. Huge set. Okay, so I wanted this one role that was going to have a lot more. I had a couple lines in this film. That's what I was slated to do, a couple lines. And I was playing the New York Institute of Design security guard for this big gala situation. I had the same thing. Well, so I did my couple lines, and I stood and I did my thing. I must have did a pretty good job. And Peter Chesham was the director. I think that's the name. He went on to do some big big movies and things like that. And still before that, though. And Buck Henry was one of the writers. You know, Buck Henry, very well-known guy. And
Sure.
him and Warren would go off and write and come back and things like this. Well, I was on the set, and Peter really liked what I did. And he said, you know what, Michael, I want you sticking around. And next thing you know, they wrote me more stuff. And it was on a big film like that, they wrote me more stuff. Next thing you know, I have this scene with Warren Beatty. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
Just awesome. That's what happens. You know, do great work, but also be a great person. There's so many people that are talented that are the biggest, excuse my language, the biggest assholes in the world. And let me tell you, Hollywood will run, they'll put up with you for a little while, and then they'll run your ass out. And Brett and I know plenty of a-holes, super talented, but they're no longer in the business. And that's the reason why.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
God, man. I mean, some of our people listening have no idea who Warren Beatty or Charlton Heston is. Now I do.
Legends.
Man, I could tell you a story about Charlton Heston. Here's, I don't know how much time we could talk. We got
time.
Okay, so Warren, when you're on the set with big stars, and normally security's pretty strict, right? And the background people aren't allowed to mingle with the quote, principals, right? That's just not going to happen. Well, I'm sitting there, my chair was next to Charlton Heston's, which was pretty awesome. He kept insisting I call him Chuck. I'm like, no, I'm calling you Mr. Heston or Charlton Heston. You're freaking, you're the guy who played Ben-Hur. Come on, dude. You played Moses. Let's go. I mean, I'm calling you Chuck. But this one extra guy walked up to me and said, hey, and he was got tears in his eyes. And he said, my dad is in the hospital, and, he's a huge fan of Charlton Heston. There's any way that he could talk to my father, because he's in the hospital and he's got cancer or some kind of thing. I said, well, let me see what I can do. So I went and talked to Charlton. He said, oh yeah, bring him over. He brought him over, and then they made the phone call to the guy made a phone call to his dad and said, hey dad, I want you to speak with somebody. And he goes, hi, this is Chuck Heston. How you doing? He's going, no, it's really Chuck. You can hear the guy in the other end crying. And it just, to me, you just start tearing up, and, tears run down your faces listening to this and how great a guy he was. So
that's cool that he did that. And it's a memory, I'm sure, that just stuck with you. On top of just working with him, the fact he made that phone call to your dad, who wasn't doing too well.
Yeah,
that's got to go a long way right there.
Yeah. Good
now
stuff.
you've done a lot of because of your physical attributes at the time when you were in the gym all the time. You were in really good shape. You did a lot of physical characters, and you've done a lot of movies and TV shows where you're doing some martial arts. Were you trained in that, or is that just something you picked up along the way because you were getting the gigs?
No. So right at the beginning, I did a movie called Ice. I had who had I had? She used to be a porn chick, and she became, remember PM Entertainment?
Of course,
I know. I think I bet you
those
know
blue. Always had the blue lights in the PM Entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
Joseph Muirhead and those guys. Anyway, so but what's the guy?
Jenna Jameson?
No,
Marilyn Chambers?
No. So anyway, it was her movie, and so I played this, and I had a big fight scene, and I was terrible in it. I looked like crap. I said, I gotta fix this. So I went and I met this guy named Philip Tan.
Oh.
Philip Tan, we know who he is. The guy's like been in everything possible. And he's a phenomenal martial artist. I met him. I said, hey, can you train me? He said, yeah, I'll train you. And so we trained.
Wow.
And that's how I learned all my stuff from, and so then I got to fight like Urkel and, Family Matters, got to fight Jean-Claude Van Damme in a movie called In Hell. Got the crap beat out of me.
Starring Paulo Tocha, good friend of ours. Yeah.
And Paulo, this is funny. I'm a pretty big dude, and listen, I played at a high level of football, and most guys that play at this high level, you are quick, you are fast, and you're agile. And Paulo saw me move across the fighting ring, because we had a big dirt pit. It was a shot in Bulgaria, and he goes, Michael, come here. you give me 6 months, I make you world champion. Like, no, that's okay. So, because he lived in Thailand and he was, this, Muay Thai, national world champion guy. So he's a badass dude.
Well, for a big guy and a bodybuilder, even, I mean, I'm sure there's some good editing, but you can tell that with you in action scenes, I'll use The Hills Have Eyes, both of them, you had a lot of action scenes.
Yeah.
And there's no really fooling the camera when you're doing those practical effects.
No,
like
and
that, so.
Yeah, and I did have a stunt double that I could use. His name is, and Brett knows it, his name's Tim Sitar, as they call his nickname is Bubba. And so he's a great guy, good actor too, and he's been in the business a long time. And he was my stunt double. And how I met him was on the TV show Charmed, where I had a recurring character called Beltazor, and I played like 4 different characters on that show. But I tried to get him because I always want to employ more people, right? Whenever I could, I'm like, hey, I have a stunt double if you don't want me to do this. Anytime there was a fight scene, I always did fights because I'm a pretty good fighter, right? So I'd always do that. But if it comes to like high falls or getting burned up or getting ratcheted out of a building, I'm like, yeah, he can go and do that stuff and be the crazy guy.
I don't blame you on the heights, man.
Yeah.
Let somebody else take the jump.
It's funny. I did a guest star on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and I played a character named Toth. It was pretty cool. I just watched that episode. It's funny with my fiance who's back here. Which way? My finger.
Other one.
Yeah, right there. You got it.
Yes. So she's a good old, beautiful Arkansas gal, and I just moved to Arkansas for her. She's a blessing, definitely in my life. I have her watch. We sat and watched sometime my old stuff, and her and I watched Buffy the Vampire, my episode of Buffy the Vampire. I was like, hey, that wasn't too bad. Sometimes I always think I suck, but but that one, they hired a stunt guy to do the fights for me. I said, well, I appreciate that. Don't want to take any work from you, but I would rather I do the fighting. And I showed them, and they go, okay, you could do it. So I did all the
you can do it, and you can do it effectively. To have the person who's actually in the role, it goes a long way.
Yeah,
I mean, the stunt guys are amazing, and it's great to have them. But anytime an actor like yourself, who does their own stunts or has some unique skills like fighting, like you said, it's got to go a long way, especially being that big dude,
Oh, yeah.
And you are a well-spoken guy. You do have a lot of skills, although even though you play the big monster and Hills Have Eyes Part 1 and 2 or Super Freddy, where the makeup, that was kind of nice. How shocked were you in the Hills Have Eyes and they wanted you in the second one a year later and playing a totally different character?
So speaking of Hills Have Eyes, I brought this here. Hold on. The Fuse Fangoria Chainsaw Awards.
That's right.
That's
so
awesome.
I won this award. Pretty badass.
That is cool.
But it's a real chainsaw and a real block of cement. So the sucker weighs like 20 pounds. But yeah, so when I did the Hills Have Eyes, I thought I did a pretty good job. Even after I got done, Alex Aja walked up to me and said, you really did a good job. Listen, I played Pluto. Michael Berryman played him first, right? And I could never compete against that guy, right? He's just a legend. But when I got that role, Alex calls me and says, do not watch. Did you watch the first one? I said, nope. He goes, do not watch it. I want you to come in with your own thing, your own stuff, come up with your own character, which I did. So, and mine was a badass, I'm going to run through the freaking walls and you're not stopping me kind of dude, right? But still an innocent guy too, right? If Pluto was raised with a family down the street, he'd probably he wouldn't be eating people, he'd be playing with puppies, but he's not. And the part in the trailer where I pick up the baby, I'm like, I'm doing all that stuff like that with the baby, right? That's just innocent stuff. I was
going to ask about that. That baby's reaction was great in that one.
That's real.
I was going to ask. I was going to say, is that one where they caught it on tape and it was a cut scene?
He reaches up there and touches me.
Yeah.
The baby liked me. The baby doesn't know what ugly is or what scary is. It doesn't know. So it was
probably just sensed your vibes. It could tell that you. I mean, you can't even look at that scene like, oh, this kid's so damn cute.
Yeah. So I went to San Francisco. I took the family to San Francisco, my kids, and I was coming back, and all of a sudden I got this call from. Let's back up a little bit. So I'm in Los Angeles. I get this call from Greg Nicotero, who is the one of the guys. He's the N in KMB, right? And he's going, "Hey, Michael, I'm in the hospital. Come see me." I'm like, "What?" So I go to the hospital, and he's in the hospital, laying in the bed with his hospital gown. He goes, "I have a script." He throws it at me. He goes, "It's Hills of Ice 2. Pick a role. You know, I want you in it." I'm like, okay. So he was getting some procedure done, and he goes, "Don't tell anybody I'm in the hospital." I said, "Okay, I won't." And so I go home, I read this, and I call him, and I say, "Hey, I really like this one character, and it's the character that David Reynolds actually is playing. It's like this big innocent guy." And so I said, "This is the one I want to play." And he goes, "Well, I think they want you to play, you know, Hades, the head guy." I said, that guy's cool too, but I want to play something that's a little more range, you know, between totally violence to whatever. I love range, you know, ranging characters. And so then I didn't hear anything. And then I'm driving back from San Francisco, and then Mariana Magdalena from the producer from The Hills calls me and said, "Hey, Michael, how you doing?" I said, "Good." She goes, "Listen, we want you for Hills of Ice 2, and it's the character you can play." And I said, "All right." And that's how it happened. So next thing I showed up, and
both roles were, I mean, those were two of the best, like, horror. I mean, for horror movies, those fight scenes and those action scenes in both those movies are insane. They're incredible.
You know, the gal, and her name is, I forgot her name, Alexandria, great actress, beautiful. So the snot on the second one that's coming out of my mouth and things like that, that's all my idea, because I wanted the guy to be like not only inbred and disgusting. And so they took like the ooze from Aliens, and they just put food coloring in it to make it like green, you know, to make it like snot. And they put it in my mouth. And so during a scene when I'm on top of her, you know, saying, "You give me baby," you know, a big glob of this comes out and goes right in her mouth.
Oh,
that's the one they used in the movie too, right? Where
but it goes right in her mouth. And so they called cut, and she goes, "Let's just keep going." She's a trooper. So, but the funny thing is about that, Marianne, when I show up, she goes, "Michael, listen, you're the one of the first of the mutants coming in, and all of the actors, they're just not scared of this situation. I want you to be the biggest a-hole, period." "What do you mean? Like on the set?" She goes, "No, 24/7. Don't talk to them. Treat them, you know, like you know, pieces of crap. Like, just scare the shit out of them." I said, "Because they know who you are. They know you from The Hills of Ice 1. They know you're this freaking big scary dude." I'm like, okay. So I remember I get on I fly, you know, you fly into down in the southern part of Morocco, and I get on the bus the next morning to go to the set, and I'm the first one there. I'm sitting in the back like this, and here comes all the actresses, little girls coming in there, sitting down. They're all cute little thing, and they're staying, and they go, "Hi, I'm so-and-so." I'm like, "Just don't freaking move, nothing." And they're like, so I scared the shit out of them. I felt so bad too. I was like, I'm actually a nice guy.
But it sounds like it was needed, though. Sometimes it's needed.
Yeah.
And to have that one guy on the set, even if it's, you were kind of doing two roles in that one too. You were performing off the set, on the set. Yeah. You lived the role. So I just rewatched part 2. It had been a little while since I'd seen that one. And I enjoyed it. I forgot how much action there was, especially at the end. It was a lot of fun to watch. And
my buddy Derek
definitely stuck out.
Derek Mears is in that one as well.
Yeah, Derek did a great job. Yeah, he's great.
Good cast.
On my watch list, one last thing. I am looking forward to checking out Deadshot, or is it Deadshot? Bloodshot. Excuse me, Bloodshot, where you play a vampire. I had it on my watch list. I was telling Brett, it sounds awesome. Michael's the lead in it, and my guy had to watch Picard all day. He's showing me a Star Trek book. He let me know it's time for Star Trek. So I caught the Hills Have Eyes part 1 and 2, and I just didn't have time.
I did an episode of Star Trek. I did Star Trek
Voyager, right?
Voyager, yeah.
I let him know. I was telling him, like, I got him on tonight, and because he's a Star Trek fanatic. I go, look, he was on this, because I was looking up all, to make sure I researched some things maybe I didn't know. Look, he's in Voyager. And it seems like a lot of horror people that I've met have been in an episode or 2 of Star Trek.
Yeah.
It seems like that's the go-to horror place.
Yeah. With Bloodshot, my good friend, Dietrich Johnston, incredibly talented writer, director. I did the film short for him. It was his senior thesis in film school. He went to Cal State Northridge at film school. I did all of his little short films that he did. And so he wrote this It's funny. His senior thesis, the professor said, "Do not do any action, blood, no killing, nothing like that." And his senior thesis was all that, and it was called Bloodshot. It was about a vampire that works for the CIA and kills terrorists. And so what happened
Stacked
is that
cast too.
Yeah, it was great. So he took that short. We shopped it around. Went to a bunch of different film festivals. I won Best Actor and it won Best Film and Best Director for a ton of film festivals. And then this guy who was the son of the guys that own all the Michaels stores said, "Hey, I'll give you so I'll give you $5 million." And that's what he did. He gave us $5 million, and we went off and did this movie. So
yeah, it looks great. I mean, Lance Henriksen. Let's see who else is in.
Yeah.
Of course, you. Who's in there?
There's a lot of great people. Yeah, in the
Christopher Lambert.
Yeah. So, but Lance and I did a couple films together. He's a good dude. So, yeah, he's got some great stories.
One of my favorite TV shows you ever did. You played a character named PJ Butler.
Oh yes,
that might have been your. I want to think that's your first TV gig you ever got.
My first TV show, yes, and good research. That was with, and who was my brother?
Oh, I don't know, but it's Lorenzo Lamas's show.
No, but but my brother is very famous. The former governor of Minnesota.
Oh gosh, Jesse the Body
Ventura.
Yeah. So, it's very funny. I tell people that back in the day, I mean, right when I first started acting, Renegades was a big TV show.
Oh, yeah.
And I must have auditioned for that 20 or 30 times and I never got it. And I was like, I just don't get it. I don't know why I can't get these gigs. But there are things like that when you can audition for something 20, 30 times and you never get it. But that casting director keeps bringing you in. So I mean, I used to get discouraged, but I'm like, well, if they keep bringing me in, then I must be doing something right.
Yeah, and so that's
just not right.
And that's one of the things that actors have to learn. I don't care where you're at and where you're auditioning from. Don't think it. Yes, think of it as an opportunity, but think of it as, I call it, planting a seed. The same thing right now. I head up worldwide sales for my company now, right? And yeah, I get told no, or we get turned down. Not too often. My close ratio is super high. It's like in the 90th percentile. But every time I go and get in front of a customer, I'm planting a seed, right? Because it might not be right now, but later on, they're going to remember me. The same thing when you go on an audition. Yeah. You're going to go in, make sure you're going professionally, you go and kick ass, you're prepared, and you freaking nail the scene. You say, thank you very much, and you walk out. Don't say, please hire me, and all that sort of bullshit. Don't do that. And you walk your ass out. Guess what they're going to do? He might not be right for this, but I got something else. Because the casting director, what's their job? To find the right person for the right, because their job's on the line too. They won't get hired again if they can't find the right people. They'll remember you and bring you in.
100%. And it's very funny, that guy, and I can't remember his name, who was casting. He wasn't the lead casting on that, but he cast for Renegades. Yeah, I never got it.
Yep.
He called me back. He called me on a Sunday, 5 years later, and said, "Hey, Brett." I said, "Yeah, who's this?" And I forget what his name was. It might have been Scott. I don't know. Yeah, I think it was Scott. And he goes, "Can you play a mover tomorrow on Desperate Housewives?" And I'm like, "Do I got to audition?" He goes, No. I just need you to come in and be a mover. You got 4 or 5 lines." And I'm like, "I don't have to audition?" He goes, No. The gig's yours. And I was awesome. Like, "What?"
Yeah.
And I was like, man, so I made enough of an impression on this guy that he felt safe to say, "Hey, Brett can be a mover." Now, you've done a lot of, besides the physicality stuff, you have done a lot of stuff under makeup. And, a lot of people know a lot of your stuff under makeup. As an actor, do you like doing the characters with the latex and all that? Does it get to be cumbersome, or what do you feel about that? Because you've done a lot, from Charmed to the horror movies to everything else.
Yeah, and Star Trek, and I did Babylon 5. Done a ton of things where I played a Narn, this one Narn. But anyway, that was my first gigs. I actually like it. It's funny. the guys from K&B says, you really got a good face for prosthetics. I don't know, it's because they want to get it covered up, but the reason why is because I have good, jawline and facial structure, but also I'm not a big sweater. I don't sweat. So that's, and so what happens when they apply the prosthetics, the latex or the prosthetics on my skin, it doesn't come off. So I don't have to do a lot of touch-ups. So that's great for the guys in makeup effects. But I like it because it kind of cocoons you into this character, and you can't leave it. You go to your trailer, you're looking in the mirror, I'm Pluto. You go to lunch, I'm Pluto. You're in it, and you're the first one there and the last one to leave. That's how it is. And so, it's also some perks too. You can see sometimes you don't get your turnaround, so you get a little extra bump on that. So there's a lot of stuff that happens that are good, but I actually like it. I don't mind it whatsoever. So I know I've seen actors freak out during either when they're doing head casts. I've seen actors. I know you were talking about that, how you were getting a little goofy. Yeah. To me, it doesn't bother me at all. I like it.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So when and then we can make a little tidbit, a little history here, a little tidbit on Texas Chainsaw Massacre that not many people may have known. We're going to break it right here on DK and the Schwag, Shootin the Shizz with DK and the Schwag. But I remember Scott Stoddard, who did my mask and my makeup for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I remember when I was sitting in the chair. I've had a live cast before for Buffy, for Angel, and it wasn't a big deal. But all of a sudden, I always had a fear of once you have that mask on and you're just breathing through these two little nostril holes here, the thought just crossed my mind that someone could just come up and do that. And then I'm a dead man. And so that thought got into my head. And then all of a sudden I was like, man, I started feeling a little nauseous. Well, there's nothing you can do. You can't talk now. So I remember I grabbed Scott's shirt, or whoever was right next to me. He had a guy helping him. And I started twisting it, and the guy was like, hey, man, you got to let go. You're starting to choke me. And I was a giant guy then at 350. And he goes, we got 5 more minutes. I promise you we got 5 more minutes. And I just was like, okay, I got no choice at this point, right? I'm either going to be Leatherface or this is going to be the most, colossus fuck up I've ever done in my life. And I'm going to ram my head into the wall, which I know is 5 feet in front of me. But, yeah, it's some people can't handle it. I know I just got nervous because I had to go do it again for a movie, Desert Fiends. Now, I didn't have to do the full cast, and I might have taken a Xanax to relax before I went in, but some people don't like it. But you've done enough and had enough times where you've done it that, some people can just almost fall asleep getting that done.
And I agree. And I've fell asleep. So I've been really just relaxed about it. And, makeup effects people want to find actors that can wear it well and are comfortable. And the guys at K&B, they love me. And that's Derek Mears is the same way. They love him because he's easy to work with. If you're a cool dude, I have seen, and Brett knows probably some of the particular guys that we can talk about. I've seen a guy became the biggest piece of what on the set, and I saw him get fired on a set, or just ranting and raving about the prosthetics. I don't want this on my face, whatever. And it just, everybody has to be thankful and blessed that you had this opportunity to be on the movie set. Never take stuff for granted.
100%.
This disappoints me so much when I see that. I want to choke people, because of that. And it's funny. I've actually had directors tell me, hey, Michael, can you go and take this dude outside and talk to him? I said, how? He goes, nonverbal communication. Okay, I'll do that. No problem. And I've done that. and I've made a guy, come see Jesus pretty quickly. Trust me. That's what I did. So you have to do it.
People don't get it. And, you and I do. And, the Derek Mears, the Doug Tates, the Doug Jones, these guys that you keep seeing a lot that keep getting the gigs that are under makeup. It's because they do have a great attitude. They can sit there for long hours. I mean, if you've seen Doug Jones, when he gets in some of these extreme outfits, or the Derek Mears or the Doug Tates.
Doug Jones.
Yeah,
Yeah.
What they can sit there for 6 or 7 hours, and they have to get into a makeup and a bodysuit, and then they have to go work for 5 or 6 hours or longer on the set. It's not easy, man. Believe me.
It was funny. I went to a rental car place. It's randomly somewhere, and I go in to get this. I was with Avis, and I went in. I'm like, Doug, how you doing? There's Doug Jones. You know, we're talking back and forth. I don't know what he was doing, but he and I just ran into each other in some random city somewhere. And it's funny how I ran into him. Pretty cool. Anyway.
One of the nicest guys in the world. And another thing that's a blessing is like, look at, man, I'm still making money. I get to go to these conventions, as you do sometimes when you're not too busy with your own business.
That's right.
That we get to go to these things and make money and say hello and shake hands, kiss babies, and have a good time, and have people come up and boost your ego and say, great, you know. But 20 years later, you know, it's our 20th anniversary of Texas Chainsaw Massacre this year, and I still get to, even though I was only on the set for a day and a half, I still get to go make money on something like this. And how blessed am I? So when those opportunities come across it, and you know, some people say that there's no small gigs, there's no small parts. And there really isn't. It doesn't matter whether you're the lead in a movie, whether you got 4 or 5 lines on a TV show. You never know what's going to happen, what that role will lead to. Which leads me to this little fun tidbit. I did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 2003. The next movie was The Beginning. Andrew Bernarski did it. But they did bring a certain guy in that I know for a test that not many people know about, and that was Michael Bailey Smith that got brought in to get tested just in the off chance that they didn't want to go with Andrew and they wanted to go with someone else. They liked you enough, because they worked with you before, that they brought you in to test in the costume and the makeup, and not a lot of people know that, but we're breaking it right down right here, and you might have a couple pictures of that.
I do. Yeah, so it was during the filming of that movie, and I get a call from a particular makeup effects artist who said, "How soon can you be in Austin?" I said, "How soon do you want me there?" And he goes, "Can you get to the airport in an hour?" I said, "Freaking, you're preaching music to my ears, my brother. I can be there, no problem." I'm in the gym at the time, and all of a sudden he goes, "Give me 30 seconds to see if I can get out of this contract." And so I waited, not 30 seconds, 30 minutes. So I waited, and he called back and he said, "Son of a bitch, can't do it." And so, but him knowing that there might, you know, be some particular things happening just through history, I did a test for them beforehand, about, I don't know, a month or so beforehand. And he said, "Hey, come down. I want you to, you know, get you in some, just because there might be some stuff happening." This happens sometimes in movies, right? So they always have to protect themselves. And so, so I did. So I dressed up like Mr. Leatherface. Let me share my screen.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that right here. Hold on. So,
I never saw these pictures until today, which is just, it blows me away, and it's pretty cool. Bam! Look at that son of a gun.
Put it on the solo screen. Let me see if I can.
Look at that dude, man. Evil son of a gun right there. That's like a cross between Leatherface and Hannibal Lecter, all in the same thing.
And I have to tell you, I have shown this to nobody. Period.
I know.
Ever.
Nobody.
Nobody knows seen this. So yeah. So this is that role. So there's a couple more shots like that, like this, but that's just
super duper exclusive right there, folks.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nobody knows about this, and it's a secret that's 16 years later or 15 years later, but it's pretty cool that you almost Michael were part of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family there.
Yeah, it'd have been kind of interesting, but that's how it is in the movie business sometimes, right? So it's really about getting the job done, right? So making sure the movie gets completed. So yeah, so it was fun, and I it's fun.
Do Do you have it in your mindset? I know Brett's kind of the same way, that if that call comes in, it doesn't matter, even if it's out of the blue. You always got a travel suitcase packed and ready to go.
Oh,
if
listen,
you got to leave it an hour.
Listen, I did 4 episodes of My Name Is Earl, right? So,
Great show.
So I did 4 episodes, and I love that TV show. I was on it, and I have another story after this to tell you real quick, related to that kind of. As an actor, and Brett knows this, you have to be on call all the time, no matter what. So you trying to plan a vacation, good luck, ain't happening, right? And so I had finished a movie. I had a couple week or so off, so we planned to go to Hawaii. Went to Hawaii with the family, and about a few days, about say a day or two before the vacation ended, I get a call. I need you back. We need you back in Los Angeles to do another episode of My Name Is Earl. So I had to leave early. That's what happens, man. You just got to go, right?
That's a good paying gig, and you did 4 episodes. That's reoccurring gigs. That's almost a series regular. So that's rent and a few other things right there.
I cannot tell you how many times. There's been 3 times. I was on Charmed as a recurring character. I played Balthazar on Charmed, and I played Shax. I played a couple of Grimlocks, and I played the Source. So, I was like the demon du jour kind of for that. I did a couple episodes of Nash Bridges, and played Iron Mike Willis from Traffic. This hardcore kind of dude, pretty funny guy. And all my scenes were with Cheech Marin, great guy. And they said they were going to bring me back for the next season. I'm like, as a recurring character, Iron Mike Willis. This is great. They canceled the show, and then and then I did 2 episodes of a TV show called 7 Days. If you remember that show, it's about you can go back 7 days in time to prevent some catastrophic thing happening, right? And it had Anthony LaPagna in it and some other people, and did a couple episodes of that. Crushed the character. Captain John Brenneman, this hardcore kind of pull up, board up his butt type of a commander, no nonsense kind of guy. And they said they were gonna take me to Canada. They're gonna move the production up to Canada. Didn't happen. So how about this? I'm doing Undisputed with Ving Rhames with Wesley Snipes, right, in Vegas.
That movie.
Yeah, so I did that, playing Aryan Brotherhood gang leader for that. By the way, got arrested in Vegas because of it.
Oops.
Did you know that story, Brett?
Oh, I did not.
Yeah, so I had swastika on my head, down here, ABs on my hands, sleeved, all this stuff. I'm in Vegas. They put us up at the Caesar's Palace. How am I supposed to walk around with this shit going on? And plus, when they put these tattoos up, they don't come off, right? They're on for a couple weeks, and they wanted to be on a couple weeks. So it was right after Super Bowl, so it was around February. It was pretty chilly, so I had a high collared shirt like this. I wore a beanie all the time, and I couldn't cover up my ABs on my hand. So working on Caesar's Palace, I didn't like that. So I went down and walked like a mile away to this one gym where all the entertainers trained. Like I saw Siegfried and Roy, those guys before the guy got eaten by the tiger. The guys are working out and stuff like that. And I was training there. Got a little hot. I pulled off my beanie. I'm wiping the sweat off. I'm like, oh, crap. I saw these people, I had the swastika sitting right here in the back of my head. So I pulled the beanie on, and I finished my workout. I walk outside, 2 Vegas PD cars pull up, whoop, like this, hook me up like this, slam me against the hood. One little short dude was taking his club and jacking me in the kidneys going, What school do you go to? And I go, what? He goes, what school do you go to? Whatever. And I go, I went to Eastern Michigan. And I go, no, asshole. What prison? I didn't know prison meant school or school meant prison, right? So I said, I'm like this, with stuff behind my back. I'm like, no, officer, I'm doing a movie called, Undisputed with Ving Rhames, Wesley Snipes, and I'm an actor, man. That's all I am. And I said, just scrape off one of the A's on the, he scraped off one of the A's on my hand. And he unhooked me and says, you better cover your colors up in this town, all threatening me. And so
That's
next day
ridiculous.
on the set,
they should have been, once he knew, or they should have, I don't know. It sounds like a really weird unprofessional situation by them on their part.
Agreed. So the next day on the set, I was a little shook, but I was okay by it. I didn't know what was going to happen. So the next day on the set, I'm there, and the makeup artist was going, "What happened to your hand?" So I went and told the story, right? So Walter Hill, famous director, he's directing this, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And so later on during the day, he walks up to me where we're ready to shoot this one scene. And he goes, "Michael, so I hear you ran a little bit of trouble downtown." I said, "Yeah." I said, I almost got arrested. And he goes, "You know what? That's good casting." And I'm like,
That's
what?
great.
So it was pretty funny.
Well, now you have we've talked about you have your own company now. You've kind of transitioned, not so much. I mean, I'm sure if someone came to you and said, "Michael, we have a big part we'd like you to do," you could figure it out because you do run your own business. But you've transitioned into being a writer, and I know this is your passion because for the last year and a half, every time I call you or BS with you, you're writing or you're sending me your script. You're like, "I'm on the 4th rewrite. I'm sending it to you. Read it now."
Yeah.
So you've gotten into the writing. Talk a little bit about that. What you love about the writing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've written for a long, even though I was an actor, I've written about 10 screenplays, all types of screenplays, from action to not too much comedy. I love movies like Shawshank Redemption. I love those types of movies that have, there's a drama element, a little bit of spirituality to it. I love those things. I'm a Christian, at least I try to be, to a certain extent. I may not be the greatest one, but I do. But I have questions, right? And so a lot of times in my writing, I ask questions. Why do bad things happen to good people? Or is there a God? Is there really a God? What about faith and things like that? And I don't hit people over the head with it. I don't do anything like that. That just turns people away. I want to address some of those questions. And one of those things is, after I blew my knee out with the Cowboys, I went through a really tough time, about a year and a half of being lost. And most athletes that go through what I went through go through the same type of things, that depression, maybe getting hooked up and doing, stupid stuff, out of frustration or anger or whatever it is. And so I wrote a story called My Good Boy about that experience of working out, playing college football, getting all this notoriety. And then all of a sudden in an instant, your career's over with, you're done. And what do you do when your whole life's been built around this? And you're no longer that guy, the big guy on campus. You're tossed away like a hunk of meat. And then you get caught, and being as an actor, and as a writer, you always have the heightened experience. So I have a heightened that experience. And so this particular movie that just got optioned, it is called My Good Boy. And it's about that experience. And it comes in full circle. Believe it or not, I grew up being picked on and beat up. No one probably knows this, but I'll tell you right now, my ears used to stick out way out like this. When I first started acting, I had my ears pinned.
Gosh.
No one knows that.
I had that when I was a kid. I had that, and then when I got to be 14 years old, I think I was getting picked on so much, and my parents. I said I don't want to get surgery, but they made me go get surgery.
So I got the same thing. I got that
thank
when
goodness.
I started acting. So, but all through high school, everything, I was called Dumbo. I was picked on. I had to find new ways at the bus because I had people waiting to beat me up. I was this big, tall, skinny, gawky, bony dude, right? 6'4", 160 pounds. I could actually reach my hand and touch the other side. I could circle around my arm. That's how skinny they were. And so that's that story about and it's so relevant to today's world, right? Everybody, these school shootings and people are resorting to violence to solve issues instead of there's other ways to do that,
Yep.
And this is that's that story. So, but I love the writing process. I love words. I love putting words together and driving emotion. I love story structure and how just it can move you. And I love that. So And
I love the script. You're a very good writer, and what's nice about it too is that you're never satisfied, right? I think the script's great, but you know what? I'm telling you, a month later, John, he's like, it's not good enough. We got to fix this.
Rewrite it all.
Rewrite it again, and then rewrite it again. But I really love that he's got a part for me in there. So that's
yeah, I do.
That's the big
there's
thing.
A perfect on there. Dwayne Bashir. That's gonna be your character. That's your role.
But so aside from all that, I know you fell in love again. You are going to get married. Wonderful lady. You have 2 boys, grown boys, both going to college, both playing football, and one of them followed suit as well, went into the military, got out of the military, then started playing college football, which is tough enough to go into the Army, or I think he was in the Army, right?
Yes, sir. He was a special operations guy in the 75th Ranger Regiment.
Yep.
And he's in 1st Battalion, which is a really well-known and well-regarded unit, special operations, deployed, been on stuff that you and I could never imagine, so much respect for this guy. And, he had a chance to re-enlist, and he says, Dad, I think I have some unfinished business, and that has to do with football. I want to give it another shot. So he started out as a quarterback. I helped get him recruited. And he, thinking about this gets me tears in my eyes. I'm so proud of these darn guys. When you're a father or a parent, period, you always want the best for your kid. I'd die in 2 seconds for my kid, right? Same thing, for your family, and to see them succeed and go after their dream and be successful. And they're going to have ups and downs, and they're going to have failures, but gosh, get up and just freaking keep doing it until they say yes. Right.
And now, go ahead. Well, then me and Dee Dee went as well. We got to go watch your other son play in football. So we went and, Mike was living in Dallas and Texas, and he flew out to see. You were flying out to see both kids play all the time, which is pretty cool. And then we got to go see his kid play football, John, which was pretty nice. And
well, he got last year. He had 2 concussions right in a row, and then he hurt his back again. And he said, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore. So now he's back in Texas. He's going to school, and he just got a coaching job. So he's going to college, and he wants to get into coaching. And so he's the kind of, I'm proud of him as well. For one thing, making a decision for the betterment of his life. I mean, not choosing not to play football. He could have struggled through it and kept going and maybe damaged himself permanently, but he chose a smarter path. 2, he is really good with kids, period. He was treated pretty poorly in high school by the coaches and things like that. And his goal is to not coach that way. He wants, because most kids quit sports because of bad coaching. So be a great coach, inspire kids. You might not be in the NFL, but maybe you do get to play college football, or maybe just being able to take that next step in life, and being successful. And so he really wants to do that. And then my older son is a strength coach. And funny thing about it, he just got a job offer to be the strength coach for the 82nd Airborne Division.
Oh, wow.
So unbeknownst to a lot of people, special operations guys in the military are now trained by strength coach. They have a training table, all those things, the supplement regiments, all those things like that. So they train them like athletes, which they are, right? So pretty cool. We'll see what happens.
That's great. It's good that your son, being a younger guy, knew when to step away, because I know I pushed myself in certain things I did for a living, more of a job or something. And at, going on 50, you start to feel it when it starts getting up there. It's a little different than it.
You young whippersnapper.
Yeah, but I mean, still, you do realize when those 20s, 30s get going, and you're not able to do the things you're able to do when you're 20s and 30s. It makes a difference. The injuries you brought with you from your youth. So I'm happy for your son to make that and be able to work with kids.
Yeah, no, I think both of them are exceptional people and men, and that's as a parent, that's all you want.
You did well, buddy. You've done very well. The whole thing. You have You have a great story. Your life is not over by any means necessary because you're still doing good. You got your own business going. You got the writing going on now.
Yes, sir. Yes,
you're
sir.
about to get married.
Yeah,
For God's sakes.
next year it'll be 4/14/24. So my gal picked, she likes 4s, so she wanted something to remember. So April 14th, 2024. So
and I think I'm gonna push Sean C. Phillips to get you in Desert Fiends 2, so we get you out to Vegas under makeup so we can work together. Now I know all 3 of us are going to be working together. We're going to be at Crypticon in Denver. So
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
very
you.
excited to get to go hang out with you 2 in Denver at Crypticon, and maybe we'll see if there's any other. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we tell some more good stories, and there's a lot of good stuff that we get, it's, both Brett and I have been blessed, so.
I knew just having you on tonight, it's like, this is the type of guy you just can't have on once because you're just scratching the surface of getting into what you've done. Now, I do have to say one thing. You were in one of my favorite games of all time. I used to go at Fight Night Champion.
Ah, yes, the video.
That was my favorite game. That was right around the time I was doing boxing and a little bit of MMA. Yeah. And I'd go home and play that game. I loved that game. The story was amazing in that game. Yeah. So I had to say, oh man, he was in my favorite game.
There's one of my favorite lines in that video game. I go, I'm, of course, I get so typecast. I don't really care as long as the
head
bounce. But
throw swash stickers on the poor man.
Yeah. But I played Aryan Brotherhood, guy, and then the lead guy, goes in the latrine, and I'm there waiting for him.
Great scene in that game.
And then all of a sudden, I beat the crap out of him. I go, "Welcome to the real world, baby!" And I bam, and then all of a sudden I go,
iconic scene, man. I'm telling you, that game's story was good.
Naughty night, bitch! And I kick the camera. It was freaking awesome.
Hey, Michael, Dee Dee wants to say hello real quick.
Hello, beautiful lady.
Hi.
How are you?
It had that American History X kind of deal to it with the foot stomp into the curb. Yeah, I love that game, and that was cool that you played that character.
I did a movie. I don't know how much further we can go with this.
We got time.
Huh?
We got plenty of time.
So I did a movie called Best of the Best 3. With Philip Rhee, Simon Rhee's brother, Philip Rhee was a star of it. Chris McDonald, the guy from Thelma and Louise, great guy. And so we shot in 2 locations, one Bedford, Indiana. The other one was in Jackson, Ohio. Bedford, Indiana is where the Grand Dragon from the Ku Klux Klan was born and raised. It's the southern part of Indiana. It's super racist to the point where it's crazy. Side story, me and this crew guy, he's black, he and I are going to the gym, and we go to the gym to work out, and the guy behind the counter goes, "You can go in, but that black boy ain't coming in here." And I went across the counter and tried to kill this dude. I could not believe he said that shit. It's pretty crazy. But anyway, so we're doing this scene. If you ever watch Best of the Best 3, there's this big rock quarry scene. And rock quarries, they're gorgeous, right? These big, when the green water at the bottom, and this really, it echoes. On top, they put all these extras on top of the rock quarry, right? And these are people from around the neighborhood, right? And so this is the part where we have this preacher, black preacher, he's there, and then I forgot. The guy was in Aliens, Shawshank Redemption. Anyway, Mark Ralston. So Mark Ralston, great guy, good actor, good friend of mine. I haven't talked to him a while, but we were good friends for a long time. I'm his right-hand man, and he puts a baseball on top of this guy's head, and he knocks it off there, and he ends up killing the guy. And then he turns to everybody and goes, "What say you?" And we all do the white power thing and all that, and it's pretty like, holy crap, because it echoes. And I was like, "Oh, this is scary, real shit." It seemed like. They go, "Cut. Okay, it's time to go to lunch." So I'm walking to lunch, and a couple of the extra dudes walk up and goes, "Hey, man, white power." I'm like, "What?" Oh, man. Yeah, because I had like white power stuff all over me. They're like, "No, man, I'm with you." I'm like, "No, hold on." No. I go,
"I'm just an actor."
How many times that happened to you, Brett? where you get guys thinking you're the real thing. I dress up like police officers. The same thing. Hey, we need your help. I'm like, no, that's not happening. So,
yeah, I've played I won't mention the guy's name, but I played a pretty heavy dude that was in prison for life for many times over, and I got some letters from jail saying, "Hey, man, the guy liked your performance," and I was like,
oh,
shit. I'm like, I didn't, I never opened another one from that I ever got again because what if he doesn't like my performance? But listen, it really is a pleasure. You and I have become close friends over 30 years of acting. I appreciate the friendship and much success. I think you are one of those guys who's very driven in life, and that you've taken on the acting and now are doing the writing. I think it's just going to be much success for you, and I'm excited to get to work with you on this next phase of your life. And I'm excited that all three of us will be hanging out in Denver, having a good time, getting to eat some healthy stuff, hitting the hotel gym.
I know.
In the morning.
I think hanging around with Michael Bailey Smith for a couple days, or seeing him at an event for a couple days, it's gonna be like, man, I gotta get to that gym. This dude is.
No, hold on for a second. So when I go, I take 3 days off from working out. When I go to those places, I just enjoy myself. So yeah, sorry. But if you want to go to the gym, we can go to the gym. We'll go to the gym. So if you want.
But thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. We're going to have you on again where we can we'll talk some more stuff. And I hope the people that were on today got to listen to you and take some notes, because everything you talked about, especially about the business, is spot on and very smart. And listen, me and John appreciate you coming on.
Well, listen, if I say this to everybody, in Paige, my fiance always gets mad when I say this, but it's really true. If this dude from Michigan, can go to California, kind of stumble into it a little bit and turn that into a career for 30 years, and get a pension out of it, and, have all these credits and just an experience I had, that just shows that if you have the mindset, if you have a game plan, and if you don't quit, you could do that. You could do it too. You really can. So I truly believe that. And it really upsets me when I see people just, because every day you can't get back, man. The day that goes by, you can't get that back. Do something towards your goal every day. That's what I tell people. So yeah, thank you. And thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Again, blessed. And Brett, I love you, dude. You're
love awesome. You too, man.
And
I don't say that to many men. I don't say that to many men while there's thousands of people listening, but I do love you, and I'm so happy for you with the fiance, and then the kids are doing great. And
I'm blessed. And John, it's good seeing you too, sir.
Yeah, hey, I appreciate everything. I appreciate you coming on, and it's been a lot of fun talking to you. But like Brett said, we got to get you on again. I got to get you on one time with a couple times with Beatrice at some point, and maybe do a whole show with me, you, Brett, and we can sit down. We can talk some Nightmare on Elm Street 5. We can talk some more movies and conventions, and just shoot the shiz, as we say.
Yeah, I like it, and I love your show, man. I do. I watch it. I watch some of the episodes, and you guys are really good, man. You're really good together. So.
I really appreciate it. I go by kind of, what you said, the words too, is, I did that. I wasted a lot of time in my life. And ever since we started rolling with Doomsday's Crypt, it's been fun. It's been energetic. It's like work, do what you can, and then put into what you're doing. So I appreciate those words. We had some really great people in the chat, and I'm real sorry I didn't get to some of them. Some were asking about books. Well, maybe next time we'll make sure we answer it, like some acting books you might know. Riley Wade Chase.
I think acting classes are important. And books are one thing, but you need to get in front of a camera. You need to get in front of an acting coach. You need to get in front of people, and you need to do your thing locally. And then get your, if you want to be an actor, get your butt to Hollywood. I mean, you can go do stuff what you can locally around your neighborhood, but put a game plan together, get your butt to Hollywood, and make it happen. So
absolutely, amen.
Yeah.
And big happy birthday to Doomsday's Crypt artist's mother. Yesterday was her birthday. Tony Antonio France. Happy birthday. Hope you enjoyed your day. Steve Merlo is here. Brett just got casted in that movie as well. Yeah, congratulations on that. And Steve Merlo's daughter's birthday, I think, was yesterday as well. So Steve Merlo, you were here. Happy birthday to your daughter. And thank you guys so much. We appreciate the support. And we will, I don't have any announcements for shows yet, but we'll have a guest. We'll give an announcement coming up soon. I know we got Jerry Montano getting ready to come on. We're going to schedule him soon. So we will see you soon. Everybody take care, be safe, and have a great weekend. Peace out.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.